Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Good to see you all.
You too.
Does it feel good being home, Lulu?
It does. I miss
Sleeping
my
in that
van, though.
giant bed.
I miss my van, though.
Yeah.
I do.
Kitty cat happy?
The kitty cat's happy. Yep, she's lovely.
That's
So,
good to
Sue,
hear.
you have company. Who's your company?
Jeanette from over the back fence.
Oh, we've heard about Jeanette from the back of the fence. We've heard about you. Welcome. So, is there anybody here for the first time that's never been here before? If you could unmute and introduce yourself, let us know you're here. Anybody?
I was here a year ago.
I thought you were here before.
Yeah, I was here a year ago.
Yeah.
It's been, yeah. But I just thought how well Sue is doing, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I have issues. I need to get the weight off. I need to take the time and do it.
Take the time and take care of yourself. Yep.
Yes, you're here.
Yeah.
Great.
And what was your name again?
Jeanette.
Jeanette. Welcome,
Yes.
Jeanette. Welcome to our group. Okay, I think we're all set.
Okay. Well, hello and welcome to Lulu's Way, Healthy Food, Healthy Life. My name is Nicole, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your host this evening. To keep this meeting free from distraction, we ask that all in attendance please mute yourselves unless you are speaking. We also ask that you keep the video mode turned off if you are doing anything other than sitting and participating in this meeting so that we can minimize distraction. In this community, we gather to support, encourage, and inspire on the benefits of nutrition, weight loss, wellness, and the joy that comes from choosing to serve yourself well. We are not medically trained, nor do we have formal training in nutrition. We come together here for the sole purpose of providing support, sharing experiences, and promoting a healthy lifestyle. It may be wise to check with your healthcare professional with any dietary suggestions or advice you receive from this group discussion, particularly if you have health challenges. Individuals in this group may have different ideas on how to eat healthy. Just figure out what works best for you and do it your way.
Terrific. Thanks, Nicole. How are you tonight, Nicole?
Super.
Yay.
I'm super.
Yeah.
Yep. And tonight's topic, we're going to kick off with a second installation of healthy foods on a budget. If you were here, you might remember Pam did this once before, Pam in our group, and she's got some more tips and for us, which I think are very timely all the time. And then we can open it up to just in general, how are we doing? How's our past week going? You know, whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, and if anybody else has any good budgeting advice on eating healthy, I do want to say that Pam has been here since the very, very beginning, and she is on a tight budget. And what's your total weight loss, Pam?
127.
127 pounds she's lost. So if you want to know, if you think you can't afford to eat healthy when you're on a tight budget, this is living proof right here. So nobody's more qualified to speak on successfully doing this program on a budget than Pam. So thank you, Pam, for putting it together for a second time, because the first time it was very well received. People were like, what great ideas. And now she has even more ideas. So let's go. Thanks, Pam.
Okay. I guess what we can do is start with the pictures. And then what I've been trying to do for the last month or so is take some pictures of ideas. Some of the things will be from clearance in the grocery store. I have one grocery store near me that has clearance produce items. The other one is the app called Flash Food. Again, that's a free app that you may or may not have a grocery store near you that participates with it. I have one local grocery store, and I utilize that. That's near expired food or I believe the clearance a lot of times is just odds and ends, like one banana and one apple of that kind, and they throw it all together and sell it for 75 cents. and then also local food banks. I have an amazing county food bank that always has an abundance of fresh produce. That is one of my fresh produce hauls from a food bank, a monthly food bank. And that was probably more like the fall, just going by the fresh greens and the Swiss chard. But yeah, that was, and a lot of the products are usually from Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and Costco. Many times organic, and many times not out of date. So we'll go through all the pictures, and then I'll tell you what I do with the out of date or close to out of date. That was another food bank. That was a more recent one. Yeah, the chips and the rolls are for my son. I have somebody else in my house. So yeah, but I always am surprised at the abundance of produce. These were my Stop and Shop bargains. This one down on the bottom was avocados. They were 48 cents. There were 6 avocados in that bag, and they had to be used within a day or two, but they do freeze well if you prepare them. A 79-cent bag of assorted, I think 6 or 8 apples, the baby potatoes for 50 cents. They weren't soft. They weren't old, nothing. They were just probably a package opened up. And so that's what my Stop and Shop does with their stuff. This was today, the one with those yellow stickers. I was so excited. Those yogurts are 0 sugar. They might not be perfect, but for 79 cents, you will utilize them. But the package of apple, 2 oranges, a sweet potato, and a pepper, I think that was 70 cents. And then to the left was one of the flash food produce bags. That was a veggie bag. I paid $5 for all of those items in a bag. And they have them bagged up, and you get to see a picture of what's in the bag, and they give you a best by date. And then you pay $5 and you get that bag of, that was another veggie bag from the Flash Food app. And it happened to have croutons, so my son was happy. But those little onions, they were so yummy. I was roasting them. They were really good. So that was, and then Target, I happened to go in for a cup, that's what, I went for bananas and toilet paper and hot dog rolls for my son. And the Brussels sprouts were, I can't remember how much, I can't see. Looks like 96 cents. The cabbage was 30 cents. The bag of shredded cabbage. That pack of chicken was $4. And the sugar snaps, I believe, were under $2. So that was like kind of a lucky hit. But they do have a lot of clearance as well. Yeah, that's another wonderful food bank haul. Lots of great items. Again, it looks like that might have been a little ways ago, because I see a lot of fresh items, but yeah, ignore the goodies, because like I said, I have a son who lives here and he likes those too. So yeah, that's just, that's an example. You can get so much. I do actually utilize 2 food banks that are my county. The one is once a month, and they give you an appointment. And the other one, you can go every 2 weeks. And mostly I only go once a month to each of them. I don't generally go every 2 weeks and the other one. But it has been, I think, since I started using the 2 of them, I was spending, I want to say at least $300, maybe more, on the groceries for the 2 of us. Probably $350, and I'm down to about $150 that I can spend, and I get everything that I need to eat the way I need to eat to be healthy. So let's see, that's the food banks. The Flash Food app is again, it's something you have to see if there's any stores that participate by you. I'm trying to see what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. Now, what you do is you have to order it through the app and pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you go to the courtesy counter and they have a special fridge and freezer. So all you do is grab your stuff. They go get your stuff for you. But if you can see, like the bananas, they're not overripe. Everything is very nice. So they have mixed ones. They have all veggie. Wow. And eggs. Oh man, while the eggs were so expensive, I was getting some eggs. So
do you have to PM, do you have to qualify for anything to like income or anything to get one of those?
The Flash Food app? No.
Oh, okay.
That's just for everybody. And it's for anybody and everybody. And the food banks, I would say some of them you do have to qualify in some way. Yeah. But I'm not really sure what they all ask, what the qualifications are. Mm. And in the summer and fall, a lot of the local farmers donate to them, so you're getting beautiful, fresh from the farm produce that they just have an overabundance of.
Wow, how cool is that?
So I know I first learned to eat the Swiss chard. I had never had that before. So many things I tried for the first time because of the food bank. I never would have spent the money on those things because I had to buy the basics. But now I had the opportunity to try a lot more vegetables and things that I never would have had. So another thing I do, because sometimes the veggies are on their way out, and those Rubbermaid Brilliance containers completely save them. Because I will open up the salad bags, like when you get the kits and stuff. So if you open them up as soon as you get home, if there's anything bad, you take it out, but then put them in the Rubbermaid Brilliance with the paper towel. It lasts a week. It doesn't matter what the expiration was, like the best by date was. I have had such success using those and prolonging the life of things that are on their way. They don't get there. So I've been able to learn to even make better use of the stuff I get. One time I got 2 big stalks of Brussels sprouts. Ended up being 3 pounds. They wanted you to take as many as you could because they couldn't get rid of them. They couldn't give them away. I took them home, I blanched them, and I froze them. So I don't buy frozen veggies because I get canned at the food bank for those quick improvised things. I really only like the green beans and carrots. So that's usually all I take, and beans and stuff. But I don't spend the money on the frozen veggies. I just use what I have and cook ahead and put it away. So I always have stuff in the freezer for in a pinch, but it's all from the food bank stuff. Let's see. What else do I do? And the manager specials, I think most stores have those. Don't be afraid to buy them. I mean, I buy the meats on manager specials, the yogurt. A lot of times I'm not real picky. I want no sugar, but I want to have the Faget, plain yogurt, because that's my favorite as far as plain goes, and I'm lucky sometimes I get it. But I don't always, so I find the ones that are the cleanest ingredients that I can, and just don't have them that often. But that's something I feel is something I want to do, and I can do in order to have the things I like those darn rice cakes, because I ain't ever going back to cheap ones. So I make the sacrifices in other places. I don't think I ever have 4 ounces of meat. I always do half and half bean to make the meat spread out longer, and I can have, like, say, chicken. Really, that's the only meat I eat. A little ground beef on occasion, but again, I usually will do 2 ounces, and then lentils or black beans with it. Sometimes I mush them together and make hamburger patties, but the beans take up a lot of it. But then you still get a little of that beef flavor. One of the Japanese sweet potatoes I can only find in one store, and that's Trader Joe's. And if I go there too often, I spend too much money that I don't need to spend. So I only go there like every 3 months, and I get some Japanese sweet potatoes. I stretch them as long as possible, but that's it. I can't keep going there and getting them on the regular, so I have to sacrifice and use the other sweet potatoes or regular potatoes. But boy, do I love those when I get them. Actually, Lynn from the other group, she was just in Maryland. Her and Darla brought me a bag of Japanese sweet potatoes, 3 ginormous ones.
Really? They did?
Well, we went camping a few weeks ago. Oh my God, best gift ever.
That was nice.
Yeah, they're like, we know you can't get these all the time.
Yeah. She brought me this fancy mustard. Because she knows I love mustard, so she brought me some mustard.
Aw, they're sweet.
They're very sweet.
Yeah, and best Mother's Day present, my son called me from Colorado to ask me, Mom, which grocery store do you go to? I want to get you that for Mother's Day. And we talked, and at first I was going to do Aldi because they do have good prices. And then he asked me about this Stop and Shop, and we voted for going and getting the clearance items. Because he said, well, you'll have more fun walking back and forth and going a few times, right? I said, yep, that was today's haul, was Mother's Day gift. So that was a fun gift. I enjoy it, actually. Let's see, what else? And like I said, I utilize what I get from the food bank to supplement. I don't love canned veggies, but green beans I can do. Diced tomatoes with no sugar, the beans and carrots. I will use the canned chicken. Again, not my favorite, but it works. And it works on a salad because you put it in there with the little vinegar and all the seasoning on it. And it's just like having tuna on your salad. It's really no different. So I'm happy with those choices. Let's see. And one of the other decisions I make is the rice cakes. I only have 2. I've done it since day one. I've never changed. And I know we talked about that, Lulu, like, just don't, I'll have 3 one time when you're hungry and then have 2. No, 2 is my plan. It just makes those Lundberg rice cakes last a little longer. And I also buy those straight from the company. They are $5.79 in the grocery store by me. And I pay $4.79, I think it is, from the company. And I just order for 6 months worth because you have to do for shipping, to get free shipping. And I just order and plan, and I just do it twice a year, 3 times a year maybe. But I get that, and I get some of the rice because I do like some of the fancy rice. So that's those things. And I don't know if there's, I think like I said, the utilizing what you can, like I get quick oats from the food bank, which saves me money because I'd like to have the big chunky oats, but I'd also rather buy other things. The oats aren't as important to me, so I'd rather spend the money I spend on fancy oats and use the quick oats a couple times a week and be able to get more of the fresh stuff because I really like the fresh veggies and stuff. And you just have to not be afraid to go to like 2 stores a week, run up to the store that has the clearance twice a week. You have to put the legwork in, and come home and prepare. Food bank day is food bank day. The whole afternoon is prepare the food you get. Do something with it. You have to process it somehow. So I think that's about what I got. And I have 2 recipes, Lulu, that I worked very hard on. They are a protein, because I know some people are always looking for a quick breakfast, like if they have to shoot off to work. It's a protein bar, and it is the equivalent of a fruit and protein. So if you want me to try to find it.
You make them yourself?
I spent a couple days actually, figuring out the measurements and the weights. Like, okay, 10 dates weighs this much, and how much was in each portion. So the protein balls are 1 fruit, 1 protein. So if you were to have that for breakfast, and then maybe when you get to work, you can eat your oatmeal or, something, your rice cakes or, but they were, no bake, and everything is completely measured out the way to be compliant. So, I don't know if you just want me to share, you want me to tell you now or just share in the Facebook?
Well, why don't you do both?
Okay.
Yeah, and are we going to call them Pam's protein balls or what? Because, this is exciting.
We have Pam's patties. Now we have Pam's balls.
Yeah, Pam's balls are coming up. These were really delicious, and I had 2 taste testers, and they really liked them. So the protein balls are the equivalent to 1 fruit portion and 1 protein. So a breakfast minus your grain. I used 2 ounces of dates, and that equaled 9 for each serving. Here we go. 1 ounce of flax seeds or chia seeds, because I had 1 and then I didn't, and then I used them up. So you can use either or both. 2 ounces of pumpkin seeds, 2 ounces of peanut butter, and 1 ounce of pecans. And in the food processor, I did the dates until they got really chunked up, and then added the nuts, and the seeds and the peanut butter, and then roll them into balls and refrigerate them. They were yummy.
So you made 5 servings?
Yeah.
So it was 10 ounces.
Yes, I did 3 servings of 3 balls each.
Okay.
So that it made 9 of the balls, but it was 3 servings.
Okay. So so that means it was 6 ounces of nuts and seeds and nut butter combo. It came out to 6 ounces.
Everything was a combo plan.
Okay, and then and so the dates were 6 ounces, 6 ounces of dates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when the whole batch was made, did you weigh it? Did you weigh out 3 portions and then each portion make the 3 balls?
Yeah, that's how I weighed the balls.
Yeah, gotcha.
And yes, but I know I said it as in 1 portion, but I didn't mean that.
That was one recipe, but it was 3 breakfasts.
But this way, if you want to make it one time and try it, you may not like it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what.
How can you not like that? How can you? I mean, that does not sound like it sucks.
No, they really were delicious. Really delicious. The only thing I did try was to add the oats into it. However, then they were a little too dry and crumbly.
What if you added some water to the oatmeal, like almost like cooked oatmeal with all that?
Oh, that would be ginormous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Pam's breakfast meatballs.
Yeah. But yeah, because just adding the dry oats, and then the other thought, which I haven't tried yet, was I read you can add dry quinoa, and that would be less like it might give you almost a little crunch.
Yeah, I would think it would. I wonder what raw quinoa tastes like.
I'm gonna try the raw quinoa.
Maybe if it sits overnight in the fridge, it might not be so hard. I wonder.
They would absorb well, and the ones I have are super tiny.
Tiny, yeah, they're very tiny.
So I think they would absorb. But the oats kind of made them too crumbly, whereas you could maybe just try a tablespoon of water. to give them that. But I also thought about trying them with mashed sweet potato. But those are my things that the quinoa is my next try, because I think I have a thing in my head that I think that's going to be really good.
Let us know.
Yeah, but they were really good. And then I did them in a bar form. This one was a little bit different. It was one protein. It's a little harder to figure out how you'd use it, because they came out to one protein, a third of a grain, and a third of a fruit. And they were 6 ounces of dates, 1 ounce flaxseed, pecan, one of each, 2 ounces of nut butter, 2 ounces of pumpkin seeds, and 2 ounces of oats. And I did them in a bar form. So that was just a little bit different. And like I said, I did add the grain in, but they wouldn't hold together as the balls, so the bars. But it as long as you really just sit there and you weigh everything and then count everything to try to put, it's a little time consuming and tedious. But every once in a while I feel like doing it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun project.
Yeah, no, I do. I do enjoy it at times. So, but the protein balls were the winners with my 2 critics.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Thanks for
there
sharing
are some
that.
questions in the chat about this, but
I don't have the chat on.
That's okay, but I was just going to say, if you post it, with the accurate measurements, soon, then we'll all have it there.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to
Thank you.
post. I'll put it on the Facebook page.
Nice.
That way.
Thanks,
Thank
Pam.
you.
For 6. What? I was just looking at the message about the rice cakes being $4.12 each. I want those.
Well, thank you for sharing those. Those are really great tips. I mean, for all of us to just make the dollars stretch. And I know, my only tip, and I'm sure I know a lot of us have this, is just I don't waste any food. I won't throw anything away. If it's a little too much for my meal, it goes in a dish. Even if it's like one tiny little blueberry, I'm saving it. But yeah, just the not wasting food or preparing things and freezing them if I bought too much. But after a while, you get it down exactly how much you're going to need. So it gets easier, I think. But really great tips, Pam. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a question about the avocados, about freezing them. The way I learned to do that is just cut them in half, take out the pit, and take them out of the skin and wrap them nice in the saran wraps as tight as, as close and tight as you can get it. But then I also into bags. I actually have reusable bags I put them in. On the outer, and I mean, they don't last forever. You do need to use them probably, I'd say, within 1 to 2 months. I don't know that they'd stay in the freezer for too long.
I was gonna say too, I buy those little avocado cups, just avocado, or the ones at Aldi. They have all just good ingredients, and you can freeze those as well. It says use by or freeze, so those are ready to just be frozen because they're in those little cups too.
Yeah, and that's great when you can get them on a sale, and you can just stock up a little.
But those are vacuum sealed, right? Like they have a date. It's not right. Those cups, Nicole.
Yeah, but they don't last forever because they're not. Like I just got some that are just avocado. That's what I think they're called, and it said use or freeze by, and I'd only had them for a week. So sometimes the date is closer than you think.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's nothing else put in though. They're not really preserved, and they're pretty clean items. And I actually just thought of that. I didn't try putting the avocados into a jar and vacuum sealing. I'm looking at Jackie. I'm wondering if that, and then putting them in the freezer, if that would. I haven't tried that yet. Because now I have that thing that goes on the jar to vacuum seal.
There you go.
Yeah, so that might even make the avocados even nicer that way.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking that I'm thinking that maybe if you put like a cookie sheet and scooped out, so you had all these half avocados, and you put them all on a cookie sheet, and then you put that in the freezer, and then once they're frozen, you can loosen them all up and put them all in a bag. They won't stick to each other because they're separately frozen.
yeah.
And you could even put them in a jar like that. And because I think if why do I think like if you suck the air out, wouldn't they get mushed? Wouldn't they get smushed by?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll have to experiment with that.
Yeah.
Because I have that thing that goes on the jars now.
Nice.
So that'll be some more experimenting for me.
And you know, just a couple of ideas that I have. I mean, what I experience to be the least expensive vegetables for the weight, like when you want to get them, because we're eating 14 pounds of veggies a week. You know, that's a lot. Plus if you add the weight of the fruit every day too, you know, so that's a lot of produce. I find like for the weight, I think the best bang for your buck is like this is outside of specials, and you know the stuff that you get is amazing. Cabbage and carrots. You can buy a big ass bag of carrots for really cheap, and a head of cabbage that's huge. That's going to be 3 or 4 meals. You know, I like to make them both and have like the steamed carrots, and then the however I make the cabbage, make it different every time I make it, and then just make like half and half for a meal. I like those two together, you know.
Yeah,
with
too.
Mustard, with my mustard.
Yeah,
I love my mustard.
I always do my roasted cabbage with a nice light steamed carrot. I like that, flavor and roasted thing, and then something nice and mild. And with some nice salt and pepper, and then the oil. Yeah, it's a nice combo.
You pour your oil on it, and they're just I buy those two all the time. Not to save money, but because it's just a really good combo. But it's really it's pretty inexpensive, those two. Yeah.
But you do need to have a little more variety on a daily than just those two.
Right.
It's good to have the variety of greens and leafy greens.
Yeah, and you're killing it, Pam, because like you're just like, I'm eating 14 pounds of veggies a week, and you know that's not cheap, but I'm gonna make it work. And
the money was a big excuse for many years.
Right.
It was a big, huge one of my excuses that I just couldn't afford to do it that way.
Yeah.
But once I started losing, I figured, shit, you got to figure this out.
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah,
did.
I think so. I think I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your experience with this, because you've got hands-on experience. I'm sure very helpful to the people here and the people that will listen to the recording on YouTube.
Good. I'm glad.
Thanks so much,
Pam.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Someone in the chat just asked if the Quaker rice cakes have sugar, and is the advantage of Lundberg brand just the taste. And so I'll just fill you in. What we've all learned from Lulu is the Lundberg ones are just delish. They are just not yucky styrofoam pieces. And so they're crunchy, they're delicious, they're
airy and crispy.
Yeah. And you do have to be careful, because you want to check your ingredients. So Quaker rice cakes are fine. Just check the ingredients. There shouldn't be anything, no sugars, no other weird ingredients. And even with Lundberg makes, like cinnamon toast rice cakes. You got to check the ingredients, because those are full. They have sugar. So but they have like 3 or 4 options: brown rice, wild rice, which are delicious. And my favorite is the cracked black pepper one. Really just simple ingredients.
I haven't seen that. I've never seen the cracked pepper.
You gotta go on their website, girl.
Yeah, I've only seen them in the little squares on their website.
Yeah.
But I almost don't want anything other than that. I mean,
really?
I love the wild rice, but But I just want you to know, even if it's Lundberg, check those ingredients, because not all of them are on plant.
And not every grocery store carries them, but a lot do. A lot do. And also, I would give you some advice, like before you just buy it, you want to really look at there's a whole stripe going down the side of it that you can see each one and make sure they're not crumbled, because if they're mishandled, they're very delicate. Like the Quaker ones, they're not going to break. They're like styrofoam. You could throw them against the wall, they're going to come back in one piece. But like when the checkout person's doing the scan, and if they toss them a little bit, I'm just like, don't you toss my rice cakes, And I pick them up and look and make sure they didn't break, because they are a little fragile. So you want to handle them gently. And like, I just bought a package today, and when I picked one up and I looked, and a couple of them were broken, and I was just like, I mean, you can put them, you can just have 2 pieces, but I don't want that. So I found one that wasn't broken, so you just want to look for that, because, they're just a little bit fragile, but it's worth it. That crunch, it's just, your teeth don't squeak when you take a bite out of it, like the Quaker ones.
I resisted with, being like, oh, I ain't paying that for those for a few months. And then I said, I got to try them. I think I remember asking you 1,000,000 times about them, because I needed something that was going to convince me to try them. But then once I tried them, I said, forget it.
Yep.
They have a good Black Friday sale. Stock up.
Yeah. There you go.
And you can go on their website and it'll tell you, I think you can put in your zip code to see maybe some stores that it might be in your area. So
somebody just said toasting the rice cakes would make them better. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I've heard that, like, from Bridget too. And I haven't tried it yet, because I'm usually just thinking I want to eat it, so I don't think about toasting it.
We'll have to get them to sponsor something, Lulu.
Yeah.
Your meetups should be sponsored by Lundberg's.
I know.
Rice cakes.
All these companies should be sending me money. Nobody sends me money. They don't even know who I am.
Okay, let's go to our raised hands. Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so pleased I signed on today. Pam, you are amazing. This is such an important topic for so many of us. I feel very lucky I'm able to be retired. We are debt free, but we are for sure on a budget. And so this topic is just so good. And I volunteer at YWCA here, who has a women's shelter, and they do these enrichment classes, and your discussions are better than any of our enrichment classes on food procurement and preparation. I mean, I almost wish I could just fly you here to help them.
I'll come. I'll go anywhere.
But I wanted to, so thank you. And I've learned some things from you, but I also wanted to follow up. One of the things I did this last week, and it actually ended up to be fun, is I offered to help do the gleaning for the food bank food. I picked the chard, spinach, and onions, and then we put it all in big bins, and then they send you home with a bag. So I got a little exercise. I was a little nervous about doing it because I'm a little out of shape, right? And I thought, well, I'm just going to go do this. And then so I helped volunteers glean the excess produce that goes to the food banks. And so it's just an idea if anybody wants to do that as well, because you get a little exercise and get to take it home with you.
Nice.
So that's sort of following up with what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. That was good. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, Liz. So you're saying that you volunteer for the food bank, and they give you what doesn't get picked up. They let you all take it.
Sorry. At first I was talking about volunteering for the YWCA, which does a lot of help for women at risk. Now I also volunteered this last week with a nonprofit that does the gleaning. 12 different farmers in our area call this nonprofit, and they say, okay, we've harvested our spinach. Then we come behind them and glean what's left. And we harvest what's left. And so I harvested spinach, the chard, and onions for the food bank.
Oh, that's cool.
So then at the end of that, they send you home with a little as well.
Oh, I see.
So you get a little exercise and some, and they only have you glean. You could ask the food bank who does the picking for the stuff, and they may want to volunteer. It's an hour of labor. It's not bad And I'm not saying everybody has time for that. I just was lucky enough to do it this week. You know,
That's a good idea,
really
Pam, huh? That's a good
That's
idea,
very
Pam.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Little
That's
exercise,
something I would love to do.
and it's only an hour.
Yeah.
Right. They're very conscious of the fact that a lot of our volunteers are older, and they take you they let you know what farm it's at. You go there, and you know, you have to think, okay, do I have the gas? Does it make sense for me to work for an hour I got about $30 worth of fresh, beautiful chard and spinach and onions for 1 hour's of work. But then I also fill up the food bank. You know, it was sort of a win-win. So it's if you have the time and energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like one of the things I'm lucky to do.
Yeah, that's great, Liz. Thank you for sharing that option.
Sure. I was excited to see somebody who got some.
Yeah.
So that's how it gets to the food banks.
That's
volunteers
how it
go in
gets
and yeah.
Thank you, Liz. Next we have Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Lily. Hi, everybody. So I was just, with the groceries, I just started off like April 1st. So my grocery bill just went up, because it's just not me having those items. My family wants the same thing too. So I feel like it's more expensive, but I'm just dealing with it. I'm trying to figure out ways to reduce the cost.
Well, you could always think about reducing costs elsewhere other than the food. To feed your family more healthy food, how can you put a price tag on that? But maybe I'm saying, you can use some of Pam's ideas, right? And then probably I would say think of other ways that you can reduce your costs, so that like maybe when Pam decided that she was going to get the Lundberg rice cakes that are not in her food budget, perhaps she cut corners somewhere else. Did you, Pam?
Yeah, pretty much. We cut everything extra. There's no cable, there's no subscriptions to anything. It's very minimal where my expenses are. But I see you're in New Jersey?
Yes, I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm in Somerset County, but I know there's got to be food banks in your area, and like Lulu asked, they don't necessarily ask you for like if you're both working, 2 people are working in the household, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't be able to go. And the Flash Food app, it's the Stop and Shop. So if you have a Stop and Shop near you, they may very well participate, all the Stop and Shops in the Flash Food app. So you would just download that app and put your zip code in. And I think it seems to me that Stop and Shops do the clearance, because not a lot of people say they can find a store that does clearance produce and stuff. But I see it at all the Stop and Shops, but not the ShopRites, not the other stores. So it must be the Stop and Shop thing.
Can I ask you something, Pam? The Stop and Shop Flash Food, do you have to do it on the app to get those packages, or can you can't just walk into Stop and Shop and get them?
No, you have to pre-order.
them, pre-order and prepay them.
Yep. So I check the app. Sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
I don't usually go up. Sometimes I already have stuff, and I don't want to get an overabundance just because it's $5. Right. But I also have the ability to walk up there twice a week if I have to, which does make it a lot easier. Because if I had to drive 20 minutes down the road, I don't know that I would use it as much.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be as cost effective either.
Right. So this Flash Food, that was the one, those that you showed us the pictures where it will say you get like an apple and a pear and a cucumber and a tomato in one package.
Right. Like they have some packages that are all veggie, some that are all fruit, some that are mixed produce. You can see pretty much what's in there, so you can know which one you want to order.
Yeah.
They're numbered, the bags.
And are they pretty much all $5 each?
Yeah, the produce bags that I'm are always $5. But I feel like they're probably $10 worth of produce.
Right. That's an idea for you, Jane.
Yeah.
If you're going to Stop and Shop, if you got a Stop and Shop near you.
And is the items good, or like how is the items?
Sometimes the items are best by date is that day, but not always. Like the ones I got today, the best by date isn't for like 3 or 4 more days for produce. So they're perfectly fine. What I'm finding is, what it is a lot of times I see you know how people pull off, they only want 2 bananas, so they pull off one and leave the little guy sitting there by itself. You know, and they go around and because nobody wants to pick up that one banana. So they put it all together and just sell it all for $5. That's what I'm finding. I really have never gotten anything that was spoiled or on its way out. You know, maybe at the food bank, yeah, it's close, but not from the Stop and Shop stuff. It's always been in date and just very close to date.
Yeah.
Like I also found, like, I don't know if anybody has Target. Like Target is less than like ShopRite. That's what I found. Like I buy like peppers from there and they're like half the price.
Yeah, and Target does the clearance too. The yellow stickers. You just have to be lucky to see it. It doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, I've been picking up a lot of groceries from Target now because it's less.
Yeah, watch for those yellow stickers. The big yellow sticker, and they're good. My favorites.
I never even noticed the stickers.
Yeah, pay attention to it. You'll start seeing it now that you're aware of it.
So they're not all in one area, in the produce area. They're throughout. Okay.
In Target, they're wherever they would be. They just have a big yellow sticker on them. But I mean, I got that bag of the coleslaw mix, the mixed cabbage, same one you get. It was 39 cents. And there was nothing wrong with it.
Also, like, I don't know, like, where I live, like, all the grocery stores, they're, like, far away. They're, like, I have to drive, like, 30 to 45 minutes to buy groceries. So that's another reason it's, like, I just want to go one time.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of planning when you're in that situation. Do a lot of planning, and if you have to, when you're out doing other things, maybe you can just peek through and see if there's some good clearance that day if you're near it.
Okay.
Even if if you're going and you're getting all the stuff that you're buying anyway, like not the way that you're buying now, but just to be aware to look for those clearance things, and then when you bring everything home, just use that clearance stuff first.
Right.
Then use your other stuff after. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Jane.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, next we have Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. Hey, good job, Pam.
Thank
So
you.
I'm following along one of the things with Pam when you're talking about avocado. I also have what is called the dwelling vacuum pump. And this is what it looks like.
Oh,
and it comes with these plastic bags with the seal. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this bottom here comes off and fits in here. These are reusable bags. They're not the cheapest, but they're reusable and they come in 3 sizes.
Nice.
Avocados were great in here. And what I do with mine is they're either going to be like something for a smoothie, or I'm going to get them back out. I'm going to make my guac and put it in there and suck it up. And, it shrinks it. You can use beans or anything you want in here. But when I do fruit or anything like that, it's usually going to be used in a smoothie, or, I don't do a lot of smoothies, but I'll make like guacamole, or I just don't even mind mashing the avocado I don't do the toast now, but when I did toast, but I mostly just use it, make it like a dip or something like that. But it does work really good. And like if you get blueberries or something that come in the little container, you don't want them to but you have an overabundance. The ladies always told me, don't wash them till you're ready to use them. but keep it in the same little container and then suck it up in here and freeze it. Then when you take it out of the freezer, then wash your berries. That way they don't get funny on you, the raspberries or the blueberries, if you have an abundance. And so, and then on the other note, at the food pantry that I serve at, that is also at the lighthouse that I serve at, food. We serve dinners, but it is also one of Ashtabula County's largest food banks. So they get a lot of produce that comes in, like Pam's talking about, from Cleveland Food Bank. And then on the other hand, I started working for a place that's called Manna here in my town. And it'll be for the farmers market once a month. And it is based on income. However, if you have a certain situation where you're just not making it, maybe you've had debt or medical bills and stuff, you just need to go talk to the people. Because I know at the lighthouse, they don't turn anyone away. They've had people where they're helping their in-laws, and the in-laws had a lot of medical. Now this is they're trying to help their parents, and it's just taken on a lot, but maybe they both bring in the money, but there's a lot of money going out for medical and things like that. And they're very good to help. And they do, like you said, Pam, they get the produce. And, you know, a lot of times it's funny because not everybody loves cabbage and not everybody. So a lot of times, you know, the lady will tell us, hey, go get some produce. We have too much. It's never going to go anywhere. And, you know, and I've even said, don't we ever teach classes on how to use that cabbage and make coleslaw, or teach them how to make sauerkraut, or teach them how to do this stuff, you know, use some of these foods and stuff, because if you get extra cabbage, you can always make sauerkraut or something, you know, or there's, you know, a lot of things you can do. You know, you can freeze cabbage. Yeah. So, but it's only going to be good for a stir fry or something. You're not going to be making coleslaw out of it. But that's, you know, like I said, that's a lot of the things that we have in our area for people, you know, to help. And then we have local farmers, people that grow their own gardens that just, you know, come to Manna or come to the lighthouse and say, hey, I got an overabundance of tomatoes. Can you use these? Wow. And they'll bring them for the people, cucumbers, tomatoes. And then they also, whatever's left that they can't get rid, you know, that no one showed up that day. You have a senior center that serves meals here in Jefferson, and they take all the produce over and they set it on the tables for the elderly. So it's quite a system that is in your areas if you're just, you know, aware. And it doesn't always have to be for seniors, you know, for senior citizens. It can be for other families as well. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Jackie. And you know, somebody at one of my meetups, at one of the gadgets show and tell, they showed that that bag with the
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I found the link for it. I'll try to look for the link for it again. And
yeah, it's on Amazon. I've had mine a couple of years. Actually, I've given about 2 or 3 of these as gifts. They make a good white elephant for my kids to fight over. So that's what, you know, that's how I did. Yeah. I buy them things that I love, and then, you know, they can fight. And some of them don't fight so hard because they just, you know, mom will do it for them.
That's funny. But you know what I was thinking?
My daughter lives too close.
What I was thinking, like when you were saying about the blueberries, right? So you can put that, you can put the whole container right in there, so that when you're taking the air out, they don't smush, right?
Right.
And that, but also,
container too.
Also, when you do that, you don't have to put it in the freezer. You could put it in the fridge and get it. It will just increase the shelf life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like instead of it just being in the fridge with the air, it's in the fridge without the air. So you'll just get more mileage out of it. So it doesn't have
I've done it with lettuce too.
Yeah.
Taking it out of the clamshell, and I'm like, I don't have room for one more glass container or that. And I'll put lettuce and my herbs in it, and I'll suck the air out. I'll put maybe a paper towel even in the bottom of it and layer my lettuce and suck it up in there, because I can stack more.
Yeah.
Right. And I like, because you can keep it flat and stack them. And like I said, I reuse them. And I found if you just put a little dab of essential oil, and now I'm going to start using painter's tape and mark my stuff, because I can tear it off. But I just use the little essential oil on a cotton ball and run it off, the magic marker off, and just keep writing on them. You know, if it's really like raw meats that's been in it, and I will not save it, but I will only put them in there for if it's, you know, been cooked.
I thought they go in the dishwasher. They don't go in the dishwasher?
No, they're not, I don't know that you can. It doesn't say you can.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you could sterilize those.
What are they called again?
They're called Swelling. DWILLING. It's a vacuum pump. I've had mine about 3 years.
I have the food saver system. You know, the
same, very similar.
The bag on the roll.
This is a little cheaper than buying your big food saver.
Yeah.
If you don't have a you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can track it easier with this little thing, and it just plugs into like your little your little socket thing.
Yeah. The only thing about that on the road was washing those bags. It wouldn't be feasible.
Well, yeah, that's why I wouldn't put my cooked chicken or something like that. I would, because like you could flip it inside out. Because Lulu, I use your alcohol water on everything at home. That stays at the bottom under my sink. I do my countertops, and anytime I do chicken or cut anything on the cutting boards, I'm like you. I use the alcohol water, and I just flip them inside out the bag, and I squirt it with the alcohol water, and then just run it under some sink water.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't do bloody meat. I would put bloody meat into a Ziploc first or something, then probably put it in, because I just don't want contamination.
Yeah.
And I'm mainly working with cooked foods.
Yeah.
Squash, if you do your butternut squash and all that, you can make extra if you get and put your squash in here, and then you always have it. You could proportion to what you want it.
Yeah.
And it works really good. A lot of people will boil them like this is your boiling bag. I did rice before too, and put rice in them. And then we have dropped the bag into some boiling water before and got it just enough to get the rice hot so that we don't overcook the rice. And that works super good too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
thank you,
just
Jackie.
some suggestions. But
thank you, Jackie.
Yeah,
thank you all.
Next we have Barb.
Hey, Barb.
Hey guys, how's everybody?
Good.
Super.
Good to see you.
Hey, so just one thought I had. My sister Carol actually does this, and she, instead of going into a store like Walmart to do her shopping, because that's where she does her shopping, she shops online, and then this avoids the spontaneous buying.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was a good idea, and then but then you might not see all the great discounts that Pam gets, so there's whatever. And then the other thing for avocados, I do the same thing. I've frozen mine before, and I just quarter them because I like them quartered, and I just lay them flat in a Ziploc, and then get as much air out and freeze them, and they last for a long, long time. But they're probably better. I don't mind the brown on a. Doesn't taste any different on an avocado, but anyway, just a thought for the avocados. And then the one thing, just to reiterate, that's something Lulu has said many times. I'll get green avocados and ripen them on the counter, and then once they're just like almost perfect, well, they're pretty perfect, I just throw them in the fridge, and then they could last another, I don't know, what do you say, a week, Lulu? They last a long time in the fridge.
They do, yeah. It's about if they're out on the counter one extra day, they might go right to, rotten. Right when that's that perfect, when you can just touch it, you touch it and it will indent just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them in the fridge and you'll get a lot of time out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 4 of them in there right now because they were rock hard. It's either feast or famine. It's either rock hard or way too soft at the grocery store, right? There's no.
Yeah. It's
hard to get the perfect one.
Yeah.
So I just make them perfect by doing that, and so I got that tip from you. And what was the other thing that makes it last longer? I don't know. Anyway, just a couple thoughts.
Thanks,
just to
Bob.
reiterate some of
A little lemon juice on them does help. Like, so if I have lemon or limes in the house, and I use just a third or a half of an avocado with a salad, I just give a little sprinkle of the lemon juice, and it does help an extra day or so. Extra day or two before they start getting oxidized.
Yeah, once they're cut open, but if they're not cut open and just in the fridge,
Right.
they'll last.
Yeah.
They'll last. I don't have them long in my house, but I'm a big fan of the avocado.
Yeah, I don't eat them that often, and it's only me, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, hi Kathleen, you're next.
Hey, Kathleen.
Hi, good to hear everybody. Thanks for everybody's tips. I have an app that I like and it's called Flip. I'll see if I'm gonna pull it up. It's FLIPP. It's already open, so I can't show you the icon. Anyway, it's a blue round app if you go look in your app store, and it's FLIPP. And what you do in the app is you pick your favorite stores. I pick everything that's in my area, and then you can do a search for what you're looking for. So I do Lundberg, and that's how I find my rice cakes on sale. Which store, or if I'm looking for skinless, boneless chicken thighs, or if I'm looking for Nellie's eggs, or whatever you're looking for, you type it in the search bar and it'll tell you what stores have what you're looking for on sale. And you can also access your flyer from all these stores there. And you can make a list. You can, if you see something that you want, you can make a list. So I do similar to you, Pam. I go to several stores. What I do is I look at what's, like, say at Food Lion. I'll go buy all my produce because that's on sale at Food Lion. And then there's the rice cakes are on sale over at Harris Teeter, so I'll go over there. So that's really helpful. And another thing I found is early in the morning, buying discount meats. We have a very nice, it's Harris Teeter. It's a nice store. And if you go in at 6:30 in the morning, all the meat that is, today's the last sale date, very nice cuts, lamb, really nice pieces. You can get your meat there. And I know Walmart does that early in the morning too. I've picked up like grass-fed beef and stuff like that over at Walmart. So those are two things that I find helpful. That Flip app is really good. And
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question about the Flip app? When you
it's free too. It's free.
Okay. When you say that if I want boneless chicken, it's going to tell me. Will it tell me who's selling it the cheapest, or only if it's on sale? Only if it's on sale.
It'll tell you what's on sale. Yeah, what's on sale. But you can also just click on whatever store you're looking at and type in a search for that item, and it'll tell you, what their price is.
Okay.
So if you want to look at the different stores.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
But if it's on sale. Anybody else have any questions on the Flip app? Okay. One other thing, when everyone was talking about all the avocados and the rice cakes, and the toast and the rice cakes, avocado toast. Take your avocado and put it on the rice cake. Some salt and pepper. There you go.
Delish.
Oh, delish. Okay, and then I have one more. I don't know if it's a price saver, but it's a quick and easy breakfast. Pam was talking about that if you need something to grab and go. And I was going to just grab mine from the freezer and I forgot it. I take my big bin, my big Rubbermaid bin, and I measure out the same amount of ground walnuts, ground pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, and ground flaxseed. So say I'm going to do 8 ounces of each, okay? And I put them all in that big container, and that container will hold 8 ounces of each of those items. And then I mix it all up. So now I've got that whole big container full of my nuts and seeds. And then I take my littlest Rubbermaid container and I line them all up and I weigh out 2 ounces each of that mixture. And then I add on that I do 4 ounces of blueberries. Your plan is 6 ounces, but for me, I'm in maintenance and I tweak things a little bit for myself. I do 4 ounces of blueberries in there and a sprinkle of cinnamon and just a little bit of water. And it just is absolutely perfect. And I can stack them all in the freezer. I can do a week's ahead. And then whatever grain you were going to do, you could have a rice cake, or you could, if you can do oatmeal. I can't do oatmeal, but if you could do oatmeal, you could add your oatmeal to that and just mix it up, which I was doing, and just let it be overnight oats. You know, just let them sit. You didn't have to cook them or anything, and it was delicious. It's just that I can't tolerate oats right now. So anyway, that's a real nice grab and go breakfast.
What's the ingredients again? I'm sorry, can you put that in the chat, please?
Yeah, I can. I'll just, it's walnut ground. I grind my nuts and seeds because it's easier for me to digest, and I don't want to be chewing walnuts. Some people like that, but I can't tolerate it. So ground walnuts, and I grind my nuts ahead of time, my nuts and seeds ahead of time, so that I have that 6 or 8 ounces ready to go. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen.
Yeah. So that was my breakfast, and that's it. So I appreciate everybody's input. It was good. Yeah, I'll put in the chat what I do.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah, thank
you. One of your previous tips that we're all in the loop on is the Brilliance Tupperware containers from Rubbermaid. Keep things fresh for so much longer than any other kind because it really gets the air out. So, yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, I do
too.
the same thing Pam was talking about. Like if you get some produce in it, so you know there could be some pieces in there that aren't great. Just pick them out, put them in the Brilliance with a paper towel. I've had some really nice romaine lettuce in the fridge for 3 weeks. It's wrapped in actually cloth dish towels, but I just layer it and it just keeps forever. Yeah, those are great, worth it.
Yeah, the paper towel really helps because as soon as it starts to get moist, there's moisture. That's what's going to break the food down. But if there can be that paper towel in with all your lettuce, you'll get so much more time out of your lettuce.
Yeah.
Or anything really.
Yep. And I do the flour sack dish towel too, and I just put it at the bottom, put something in between, and layer it like that. And
that's what I do. It's like a lasagna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thanks.
Thank you, Kathleen. Next, we have the other Nicole.
I love that I'm the other Nicole. It's so funny. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nicole.
So I was just thinking, I actually haven't started doing the big ass salad yet. Partially, I think because I'm still worried about fresh things going bad because I've had so many years of having intentions and buying things, and then too much time went by and it's bad and I have to throw it away. And I've really been enjoying the feeling of that I don't have that. I get the produce home and I cook it and then it's in there and then that's just what I'm using to assemble my meals. And I kind of intentionally decided that I wasn't going to try and do really any fresh stuff until I'm deep into planning. I don't know if that's backwards, but it's Alaska planning. I leave in 2 weeks. So I was like, it's easier to cook things and then put it in a bag and get it in my fridge rather than trying to have the fresh stuff. So just thinking about, so, you know, if anybody else is worried about the fresh stuff, that it helps, I think, to have something that you're cooking and then somehow that doesn't seem to go bad as quickly.
Well, I don't know. It all comes to you fresh, and then you need to cook it before that even spoils. You know what I mean?
Right, that's true.
Like
I got the habit of do it when I bring it home.
Yeah, because I usually time things out. Like I came home with delicata squash and eggplant and carrots and green beans. Now, the green beans and the eggplant are going to get cooked first because those things are going to go. The other two will keep longer, you know. But as far as the salad stuff, I don't know. I buy an awful lot, and I have a salad a day. So I usually have my cooked veg at lunch, and then I have the salad at dinner. And I get those big plastic things of lettuce.
Yeah.
The spring mix, the large one. And I get like the bag of coleslaw, I get the bag of shredded carrots, I get radish, I get cucumbers and tomatoes, and I go through it. I mean, you're just going to have to just test it out and, you know, just be sure that you're going to use it. You'll see that you will. If you have a salad a day, if you get all the salad fixings and you're only making a salad every couple of days or every few days, it's probably gonna spoil. Yeah. But I like to have one cooked meal and one fresh meal.
Well, I think I purposefully, like, I knew that I'm going to be gone for 5 weeks, and I'm in a Subaru Forester camping in the car, so I don't have a lot of space. So I was like, okay, what's one of the things I can do to? Yeah. It's easier to compact the cooked stuff. So.
Yeah, but you know, the salad doesn't have to be the leafy greens. The leafy greens take up a lot of space. The salad doesn't have to have that in it. You can have, like, you know, like I think at restaurants they call it a chopped salad, where it's just all chopped veggies. So it would be chopped carrots and cucumber and radish and tomato and maybe some artichoke hearts from a can, chopped up cabbage, you know, raw cabbage, the slaw or something. And then you don't really, it doesn't take up much space. It's what takes up space is all the leafy greens. That's why it's so big ass. So you would be having like a salad, but without the lettuce, it would be a medium ass salad. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, you don't have to cook it. And all you do is just take the stuff out and slice. What I find convenient to do is I take like a shopping bag, like one of those plastic shopping bags, and I put all my salad fixings in it. Everything except the thing of lettuce. So I have the bag of carrots, the shredded carrots in there. I got the bag of the shredded coleslaw. I got the radish. I got the piece of cucumber. And an onion, like a red onion that's in a Ziploc bag. So I got all these separate things, and I put them all in this bag, and I tie it, and I put it in the fridge. So when I'm going to make a salad, I just pull the bag out. I pull the bag, and then I pull the lettuce. It's just two things I'm taking out, you know? And then you're not getting like the cucumbers at the bottom of the, you know, where's the cucumber? You're taking, you know, 10 things out of the fridge and 10 things, especially if you're camping and they're in a cooler. This way you can kind of keep them all together in a bag.
I'm not sure why the salad intimidates me of all of the things for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's what intimidates me.
It's the most delicious thing, I think. You know, with some nice vinegar and the olive oil, salt and pepper, and you put your protein on it, and then for dinner you can have the rice cakes with it, or you can dice up potato, your cold. I love cold sweet potato in mine. You know, I don't know. Just give it a try. When do you leave?
2 weeks from today.
Oh, you have plenty of time to test it out. You know, just get yourself some lettuce, cucumber, shredded carrots, maybe the coleslaw mix, and tomatoes, and a red onion. Just get those 6 things. And just see what it looks like putting a salad together. And like a thing of lettuce. You don't have to don't get the big one. Get the smaller one. You know, the smaller one might be like 3 salads. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and just start putting everything in a bowl until it's 16 ounces. And once it's 16, you got take a little piece of the cucumber, just 1 handful of the shredded carrots. I cut an edge off of the onion. I just take an edge off. I keep it all. I keep the peel on it, and I just cut a little edge off it, and then I take the peel off that edge and slice it up and put it in, and then you'll see it will be 16 ounces before you know it, and then just throw some vinegar and oil on it, salt and pepper, and then I put my protein and grain on the top.
Mhm.
Try it. You
Okay.
like it.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
And let us know, because you know
Yeah.
I've been doing this plan for 18 months and I've bought lettuce 3 times because lettuce is just too much for me, you know, so I just do the other kind of veggies, and then 3 times I've added a little bit of lettuce, and then my husband Ron eats the rest. So
Yeah, all of her, when she posts pictures of her salads, they're all the chopped salads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You could even, celery, if you like celery, you could just put celery too. Beets, you know, you can just get even a can or a jar of beets. I like this jar beet that I really like. And the beets in it, those are heavy. And like I say, before you know it, it's 16 ounces. You know?
Yeah.
So try it without the lettuce. Because all that other stuff really doesn't spoil very quickly, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to even choose your veggies. You have to know what you're doing when you're choosing them too, you know? Like this, you don't want to get a cucumber that has any give to it at all. It has to be really, really firm, because that's on its way out, and you bring it home and it will be yucky in 3 days, you know?
Yeah.
I want my cucumber to last a week, you know? And the shredded carrots, nothing ever happens to those, you know? The shredded cabbage, that will start to get a little brown after maybe 4 days open. So just consider, like, I'm going to use maybe a fourth of it at a time, you know. And then the radish, those will last forever. Tomatoes, don't put those in the fridge. It's one of my things. When I see people with their tomatoes in the fridge, I'm like, what are you doing? Because to me, it ruins them. It just ruins kind of the texture of them. And if you do put yours in the fridge and they have a texture that you don't mind, try keeping them at room temp and try them, and you'll just see it's a different, much more enjoyable texture, and they're sweeter and they're juicier, and so. And they last. But you want to look at those too. You want to take that container and really, I like to get the little ones. I love the little grape ones or the cherry. And I look around, and if any of them look a little wrinkly, or if they have any spots, just pick up a different one, you know? Just keep looking until if you're buying everything in the freshest state, you're not gonna get that waste, you know? So try it, you're gonna love it.
Okay. Thank you.
Even for lunch, because if you did it for lunch, then you put your protein in there, which could be like cold chicken that's cooked and chopped up, or I put fish in mine. Tonight I had bought some monkfish. I cooked some monkfish, and that I picked up today at Whole Foods, and I just had little pieces of it cold on top of my salad. You know, tuna fish, anything, any protein you can. Beans, if you like beans. 6 ounces of kidney beans. Put all that in with the chopped salad, you know.
And garbanzo beans.
Yep, that's good too. Yep, or even hummus. You just put a big dollop of hummus right in the middle of your salad, and just take your fork and take a little bit of hummus on your fork, and then stab your veggies, and it's delish. Right, especially the roasted red pepper. The roasted red pepper hummus is my favorite.
Yeah.
And then with your cooked meal, then you'd have your protein, your grain, you know, maybe instead of putting like rice on a salad, you can, but maybe you'd rather have the rice with the cooked meal, you know, whatever you have for you. What do you usually have for a grain at your dinner?
I mean, usually it's been the sweet potatoes, but I do rice on occasion too.
Yep.
Like it depends.
Yep. So yeah, give it a try. Let us know next week.
All right.
You can do it.
Okay.
And you're going to be like, I don't have to cook all the time now. All I have to do is slice and dice. But like I'm saying, if you put everything if you're in the fridge, not in the van, but if you're in your fridge, you could even get like a bin, like a bin that would sit on your top shelf that has all your salad stuff, and you just pull the bin out, you know, and you get everything out to do your slicing and dicing, you know.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah. In the van, I do it in the bag. Because I'm like, I'm not going to have all these little things dropping at the bottom of the cooler. The cucumber, where's that? You know?
Yeah.
So everything just goes in the little grocery bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Nicole.
What a great meeting with so many great ideas and such great support of one another. I'm just thrilled. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I love the nitty gritty stuff. This really helps, you know. And so, yes, Pam, thank you for doing another installment because it's ongoing. Kind of all of our topics are ongoing, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't need to be on a really tight budget to want to spend your money wisely.
Right.
So it could also be utilized in that way. I mean, and it also saves the food from being thrown in the garbage and the dumpsters behind the store. So if you happen to notice your store has one, and even though you don't need it because of a budget, think about it as saving that food and decreasing the waste, the food waste.
Yeah, good point, Pam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and most of the farmers are so lovely. They love it when we show up and they know this, rather than having this produce go to waste. They love seeing it go to good people.
Oh yeah, I mean, when all the gardening that I've done, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be doing it again this year because I want to travel instead, and you really have to be married to a garden. But you know, like I gardened for years, like 25 years, and I loved, like, I would have an overabundance of, oh my God, if you just looked at me, you got tomatoes, you got a bag of tomatoes, you know. I'd go get my car fixed, my mechanic would get a bag of tomatoes. I put a bag of tomatoes in the mailbox when the mailman came and he'd, you know, put the mail in, take the tomatoes, you know. It's just like anybody that came in contact with me was like, want some tomato? And you just love, so I can see how, you know, the farmer wants to share. Yeah.
Yeah.